I was a diluent when I was growing up.
That's a delinquent.
I used to clean fish tanks for a living.
No. Are you Juice Bigelow?
No. Get the water snails, the ones right at the very bottom.
The only thing that upsets me about ONR is the amount of Smurfs that are killed. Because I have worked in the same workshop as Ian. Everybody likes Disney to a point.
Hello and welcome everybody to the fourth instalment of the Pro Detailer Magazine podcast. Today we have a number of things we want to talk about. I just want to give a heads up early on. It is going to be a COVID-free zone. We've disinfected our podcast from it using all the proper precautions. As ever, we are joined by partners in crime, James Keeley.
Hello.
And Ian to the Seeley.
Hello there.
And today we are going to be talking about hobby washing and detailing in summer. So in summer, obviously, you've got increased temperatures, you've got things like sunshine occasionally, and you can change your washing strategy to improve your basically washing technique and products and systems and methodology to improve the quality of your wash and the efficiency of your wash. We have a little disagreement in the house here because James, well, what's your opinion on washing in sunshine?
Don't.
It's quite simple. Do you have any other advice for people?
I mean, the problem is all of the products that we use say do not use in direct sunlight.
That is very, very true.
But we still see people using products in direct sunlight and then complaining that they're difficult to remove or...
But the problem is maybe on a Sunday afternoon you've got 2 hours in between your various other chores and stuff like that, and those 2 hours you'd set aside to do your car, and it happens to be hot and sunny. I know you were saying that people who work or something can't wash their cars on Sundays for some sort of reason. I didn't quite understand what you were alluding to, but some sort of socio-economic imbalance in James's little world.
No, I actually said that people who've got spare time on a Sunday can afford to get a professional to do it.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's so this doesn't apply to the proletariat. This is obviously just for the elites who can take an hour or two to wash their car on a Sunday. But I thought it might be useful to offer some practical advice for those who can wash their car on a Sunday, and basically help them do a better job about it. So, James, what would be the first thing people should think about when they're washing their car in warmer climes?
Well, the first thing is to try and find some shade. That's, for me, that would be the first priority on the list, is try and find some shade somewhere. Even if it's half shaded around the side of the house, that could be the biggest difference.
Yes, and I think that's key, is that what a lot of the products say is that they can't be washed in direct sunlight, but there are still challenges. Even if your car's in the shade, if you've got a dark coloured car and it's ambient high temperature, or the sun has moved, and so basically the surface is hot, that's the issue. And one thing might be worth mentioning is the dilution changes of products used. How would you change the dilution of your products in to work on a car in warmer climes?
I wouldn't change the dilution of products at all, because you have to follow manufacturer guidance for that. Just change how you control the temperature on the car. So cool down the car first with a hose. Keep rinsing panel by panel, working panel by panel, taking off the product before it has a chance to dry. If you're doing your wheels, do one wheel at a time, clean it, rinse it, move on to the next one.
Speed is absolutely a thing here, isn't it? Because if the product dries out, bear in mind, if you've got a solution of, say, shampoo and water on your car, and the water essentially evaporates due to the heat or evaporates quicker than normal, you're left with a more concentrated mix of the shampoo or whatever active product you put on there, which then potentially offers more risks.
The other thing as well is people forget that most products have water in them. And when you let a product dry completely on a vehicle, you're removing the water you've added, so the diluent from mixing it.
The diluent.
That's the word, isn't it?
I was a diluent when I was growing up.
That's a delinquent.
Oh, right, okay.
That's a word, isn't it? Diluent?
I don't
Yes,
know.
it is.
If it is a
Diluent.
word, I like it. I'm going to use it more often.
It is we've used it in text before, so I mean, it is. Otherwise,
better than an Environ.
I think that's a new Ford, isn't it? The Ford Environ.
Rock your world.
Definitely not going to happen with a Ford, I'm afraid. Yeah, so when your product's dry on the vehicle, you're removing the water that you've added, but you're also removing the water that the manufacturer added when they produced it. And when we look at things like shampoos or APCs.
Sorry, sometimes you're also removing the water added to by the distributor after the manufacturer manufactured it.
Vicious claim.
That's nice.
That's
We're getting political, I think, now as well.
So yeah, you're basically increasing the concentration way beyond using neat product.
And that's important because also in a lot of products, the water in the bottle is very expensive water. So, you'd be ashamed to waste it.
It's that Second World War heavy water they use. That's why it's so expensive.
Straight out of Trondheim. So, in terms of dilution, just be aware that the dilution of your product on the car will change faster as the water evaporates faster. The other thing to talk about is actual product choice, because there are some products that are better suited to use in hot climes, or rather some products also that are kind of a must-have if you're working on a car in the sunshine. What would be, James, what would be your kind of must-have product, so to speak, for hot washing?
Well, I think the first thing is to try and keep the pH levels as neutral as you can. If you are going to experience products drying off, you need to make sure that the surface pH is going to be as kind as it can be. You still don't want to let it dry. But if you can try and keep things like iron removers or fallout removers, if you let those dry on the vehicle and they've reacted as well, the pH can go through the roof. And the concentration of pH, which we know is different to actual level, from the Labo Cosmetica visit we did, we can have two products that are pH 1, but one is like a 2% concentration, one's 70%.
And it's much more dangerous as a consequence.
That's right.
The other thing to consider is your environmental stuff. So if your car is a dark colour, it's going to absorb heat more. Equally, if, like we are in a hard water area, when it comes to water spots, it's much more of a risk. James, you're from the north, and you were saying that up north the water is free of any dissolved solids. It's sort of like liquor of the gods sort of thing.
Yeah, almost. I mean, it's not completely free, but we run below sort of 80 ppm.
So how do you chew your tea before you swallow it?
Oh, we don't.
You don't have to chew it?
No.
Okay.
We don't have to scrape the head off it either.
You can't even taste the chalk?
No. And we don't get any of those nice little blue and purple sort of swirly patterns on
the oil
water
film.
either.
Yeah, no, we've got oil film here. It's nice. It's Castrol 540, I think.
I was about to say, that's just when you leave the Subaru running outside. Everything just coming out the exhaust.
I like to run rich. Ian's just thought of a joke, but he's decided it's not fit for podcast, which is fair enough. Certainly, from a product point of view, my go-to is you can have rinse aids, and you can use spotless water as another thing that probably worth talking about.
Yeah, well, spotless water, the brand, where you go and fill up a tank full of water from a big tank of distilled water and take it home. That's great for, obviously, the professionals. Not so convenient, maybe, for washing your car once a week on your driveway.
That's true, but there are some ways of having purified water, so to speak.
Yeah, for that sort of thing, ideal for home use. If you're more on a budget, is using DI resin vessels. These are basically scuba tanks that you connect up to your garden tap. It filters it through resin. You're limited with your flow rate with it, how much it will purify in one go. So it's quite pointless attaching up to your pressure washer for a massive hit of water. If you're going to go down that level, then really you want to go to RO, reverse osmosis, and store it in a tank ready for use. It all comes down to the amount of space you've got and the budget, because ROs can get quite expensive.
Yeah, the other issue is the waste water as well, because I think what's the percentage?
It's 30% waste or something on RO, isn't it?
At least.
Is it more than that?
It depends on the system. So I used to use an RO system for fish tanks, which is where most people are familiar with. The kit.
You used to clean fish tanks for a living?
No.
Are you Juice Bigelow?
No.
You get the water snails, the ones right at the very bottom.
I did have water snails. What's wrong with that? They were big ones, though. Big African
I haven't
water
seen that
snails.
film in a long time.
Oh, awesome film.
Is Rob Schneider still alive?
Did you say cake?
He is. I saw him doing like a... Okay, so moving rapidly on, basically an RO system you can get if you, for example, get some 25-litre kegs, you can put an RO system in there, but there is a lot of wastage. Can't remember the percentage, but it's significant.
Yeah. Just a quick note on the spotless water, though. My window cleaner uses it.
Mm-hmm.
And he only uses it for the very last final rinse. So you could use it at home in small quantities and maybe just use a garden sprayer to do a final rinse over the car, possibly.
Yeah, that would work. I've seen some people put IBCs or big 25-litre kegs of this purified water high up, and then you just use gravity feed out the bottom tap.
I mean, if you're going to go to that level of setup, you can go for a water reclamation system.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go as far as the RO filters. You do have to filter out all the dirt that comes down in rain.
And the
So
frogs.
obviously every single raindrop has a speck of dirt in the middle of it. That's how rain condensation forms in the first place. So you make sure you filter it out properly.
For more information on that, you can watch Ian's own personal podcast on rain formation around dust particles.
Available from Smiths. Is W.H. Smith still alive?
Yes.
Smiths are.
Not the actual person.
Well, no, the
I think he
person,
died a
he's
long
not.
time ago.
Yeah.
No. Our price, they're not going anymore.
No?
No.
That's depressing.
I think HMV are dead as well, aren't they? Or are they?
Where am I going to go to replace my iPod?
Well, where am I going to buy my cassettes from?
They don't have iPods anymore!
Do they?
No, they stopped making iPod.
God.
My car still takes cassettes. I like that. I've got cassettes.
And you still use iTunes on your computer, we found out today as well, which I'm amazed at.
It's installed. I'm not saying I use it.
Does it have a wax cylinder attached to it as well?
But only exists in 1998.
What a great year that was. Anyway, so we've talked about the kind of spotless water, pure water and stuff like that. Extra rinsing, really important. And the point that you can use this purified water as your final rinse, and that'll help reduce water spots. If you do have water spots, though, there are various ways you can remove them. So there are products, for example, like G-Technic WSR. Is it G-Technic WSR water spot remover? I think it might be. There's another one from Max Protect that I think was quite expensive, but it was a good-looking product, and lots of people have said it's very good. But you know what? My advice on water spot removal products is Kochami FSE again. I keep coming back to it. It's like I've got a thing for it. But if the car has just been washed, rather as opposed to the following day, it does a really good job when you're drying. So just go around with a squirt of that with your drying towel every now and then, and it'll help remove those white spots that have been bothering you.
Why not vinegar?
Well,
A diluted vinegar.
my go-to water spot remover is Star Drops White Vinegar Cleaner.
Well, again, it just needs something acid, isn't it?
So it costs all of about 3p, I think, doesn't it, for
I think
a
it was
litre bottle?
home bargains for a litre, it was £1.
Plus, if you're having fish and chips at the same time, you can double up and vinegar your chips.
I think
I'm
that's
only
an
kidding.
important
Who
point.
vinegars chips? It's disgusting.
Only chip shop chips. Nothing
No.
else. Nothing else.
No, I've been able to eat chip shop chips since I was chip shop chips since I was about
Chip shop.
14. I actually worked in a chip shop and I saw how they're made at the back. Scars you for life. Can't look at battered sausage the same way again.
And I need a jingle here to make an interlude. Wow, exactly.
I think we've got that one somewhere.
We do have something on this machine, but I have no idea what buttons to press. So anyway, that I think concludes our washing in
Well,
summer.
what was your must-have?
My must-have was FSE, and then you
what-
just shot me down with your vinegars jokes.
What was Ian's must-have?
I don't think I told you, did I?
No. What's your must-have?
Did I think
summer
about it? Oh, it's going to be
product?
something like ONR.
ONR.
Yeah,
So,
I keep on coming back to
Yeah.
ONR as a wonder product, but it does actually do quite a lot for a fairly simple.
You talk about ONR way too much.
Well, yeah, but if you need to just have a quick rinse down of a car, a quick wipe down of a car, and you're working a panel at a time, ONR's frankly perfect for it.
Yeah.
the only thing
Especially if
that,
you're trying to use less water in the summer, because obviously after the 2 metres of rainfall we do get in this country every
We still
every
have a
April, we
drought.
still manage to
Yeah.
have a drought.
we don't worry about that up north. We save our water.
Well, that's because all your
Drink
water
beer.
flows down from Scotland, so you're fine.
Don't tell them.
You're-
They'll put a dam in.
The only thing that upsets me about ONR is the amount of Smurfs that are killed.
Did it kill Smurfs?
Yeah, it's Smurfs blood.
Is that what happened? Because they did. It came out about the time that Smurfs stopped.
No, I think they just brew them in there like tea bags.
So upsetting.
Dip them by the hat.
So upsetting. But I think, what's my must-have?
Smurfette, apparently.
I think for me it's rinse aids. So I mean, I've always used them anyway. Even the back to the old days of using the what was the Autosmart one? Aqua Rinse. They're just effortless, especially if you've got like a Karcher K7 and you can put the chemical hopper in and then literally just turn it to chemical, spray over the whole car with it, rinse it off, and it's half dry already.
Then you have got to rush around with a old microfiber, but a plain microfiber for like finishing it off before it all.
No.
Well, no, if it's left any of that chemical behind on there, that's what we.
Yeah, but that's why you rinse them
them
off. That's why you rinse them off. So if you spray it on through the jet wash, the dilution ratio is way down, but it's enough to make the surface hydrophobic, and then you do a high pressure rinse to get rid of it all.
I always find you're always going to get some chemical trap behind sort of indicator lights and mirrors and everything like that with them.
Yeah, but the majority of them are pretty low.
I mean, it's something you can control. You can go around and you can mop those bits up as long as you remember to do it and you do it quickly enough.
Yeah, but I think they're pretty low sort of reactivity, those rinse aids, especially sort of the bulk valeting
things like
products.
CarPro's H2 Go.
Well, that's very different, because that can be a nightmare, that stuff. I put, is it Hydro Light? Hydro 2.
Hydro 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's H2 Go?
That's the
that's the window
Angel Wax Plus.
Oh, is that the Angel Wax?
But yeah, Hydro 2, which is their sort of version of Wash Coat and Guion Wet Coat, whatever it's called.
Wet coat, not can coat.
Canny Quick Coat.
Can coat something completely different.
Yeah, I've come a cropper a few times with that Hydro 2. Sprayed it onto glass in sunshine, and then I've had to machine polish the glass.
Crikey.
It's so it stays on there.
Yeah,
it stays on the car. It's great. It's great for longevity. But if you get the application wrong, same with Future Armour. Future Armour is a fantastic product.
Yeah, if you accidentally get it on glass,
that's
real
it.
pain.
You never get it off. But yeah, in fact, I'll tell you what. That as a rinse aid sort of spray sealant to finish off the wash, that would be my must-have. Would be Future Armour, I think, because you just spray it on a wet car, spread it with a microfiber, rinse the car dry, and you've got sealant, rinse aid, gloss enhancer,
all in one, and it's good value as well.
Yeah.
So, in summary, washing cars in summer,
or in wintry,
just get them as cool as you can. Keep them in shade. Cool the panels beforehand with water. Be very aware of how fast water evaporates from the products and increasing alkalinity or acidity of a product. Also, be aware of the solids in water and see if you can reduce those to reduce water spotting, and also have some acidic product to hand that you can use to get rid of water spots, and consider using
if you need it.
If you need it. If you're up north, you don't.
Well, there is a website. If you go onto the Googles, you can check your local water quality
and hardness.
But it lists off everything. So it lists off all of the minerals, the levels that they sit at. You can check the ppm of your water. So do that first, especially if you just moved to an area.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Shall we move on to news, industry news, car news, product news, anything that might be interesting? I will kick off. There's big news from CarPro. We just mentioned CarPro, and I kind of wanted to mention a friend of mine called Craig Hall, who's run CarPro for a number of years now. An absolute diamond of a gent.
Terrible choice in cars, though.
He has a classic Mustang and a new Mustang, which I think are good choices in cars.
If you ever catch wind of him going to a car show, avoid it. He's guaranteed to wipe you and all of your friends and family out on the way out.
Yeah, exactly. Leave early. That is a fair point. But no, he's got nice cars. And anyway, so he is moving on, potentially moving on from the industry as a whole. We don't know. And Slims is taking over the distribution of CarPro in the UK. And Gordon Muir up in Scotland is taking over the kind of the training and the technical support side of things as well, I believe. So
I think he's also taken over the approved detailer coatings supply side of things as well.
Oh, okay. So he's
I think so, anyway.
Well, Gordon's been involved with CarPro for ages and ages and ages, so he knows exactly what he's talking about. He's probably the oldest and most experienced, should we say, most experienced person in detailing in the UK.
He's definitely one of them, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I thought you were just checking that Scotland is still in the UK. I'm not sure when this is actually going out, but hopefully.
It's always a risk. So anyway, it's a farewell and a thank you to Craig for his service to the industry as a whole.
Is anyone asking what he's doing now?
I did.
What's he doing now?
Nothing.
Git.
He told me he was going into porn.
He said he was. Taking
sure there wasn't just the menu on the TV.
He was taking a break, finishing off some projects, which I assume is desperately trying to make a Mustang go in a straight line.
I'm just confused by this finishing off projects idea. I've never achieved that before.
It's something of myth and legend.
So he's going to be doing that for the rest of his life then?
Yeah. And then I'm not sure. He kept it a bit vague.
I think he's just having a bit of a sabbatical, bit of a break, and probably well deserved.
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine having 3 months off to do whatever you want.
God, that would be lovely.
And doing absolutely nothing.
Staying at home all day. Yeah.
No, that generally does appeal. I could tinker.
What other news have we got?
Um,
Cordless Henry. Ian's.
Oh,
spotted that.
we did see a photo of a cordless Henry. Whether it's real or not, I'm not exactly sure, but it's interesting.
I wonder if he talks.
Does the corded one?
Well, no, but he's on a leash. So maybe the cordless one can take himself for a walk and speak.
well, James, you, like many who've been in the trade for a long time, have a deep and meaningful relationship with your Henrys, don't you?
Well, the deep and meaningful relationship is that they work.
People having a deep and meaningful relationship with a vacuum is not usually something you want to broadcast.
They work and they're reliable and
But
they're made in the UK.
Yeah.
And
Don't you like hotwire yours, fiddle it, so it gives you extra suction? And
I'm not sure I'm allowed
Have you
to
put a
legally
supercharger from an
say.
E93?
So the Henry came. The early Henrys had a one-way switch. It was just on and off, and then the sort of second generation had a low and a high setting, which was an electronic switch, not a standard rocker. It was like a push and release, and it put the high mode on. That switch was a failure point. So when we had ours repaired, this person exists. We think he lives in a house of Henrys. But the Henry guy that we used to have come out,
what was his name?
George.
Was he green?
Did he have a weird cousin that no one ever saw called James?
No, but he had a girlfriend called Hetty,
Oh, Hetty. I remember Hetty.
and she wasn't human.
Was she a wetback? I can't remember.
No,
she was.
No, she was not.
No, she just liked
She was a pink Henry.
She was a pink Henry.
Pink Henry. So he used to remove the switch completely and just set it to be on high constantly. Then the third generation Hoovers came out with all this new EC green sadness. So the fix then was to order motors from China that were 800 watt and fit those instead of the Henry 600 watts.
Oh, I see. So it's all about the watts.
Yeah, but
There's a whole modding scene that I'm not part of.
yeah, it's like IKEA hacks. It's like a Mighty Henry mods scene.
That's another podcast series of its own. So,
But yeah, we've had loads. We've had Georges, we've had Henrys, we've had pneumatics, which don't come with eyes. That's a bit sad.
yeah, they're blue, aren't they?
No, they're red.
Oh,
You
they're
get
red
them well.
They're like a grown-up Henry.
Yeah, they don't have a face. It's quite unnerving.
They have faceless.
They just sit in the corner like a faceless person. But no, it's the same colours. So it's green, yellow, red, blue.
Gotcha. So hang on, what are the different colours for? So Henry's red.
So Henry's red.
George is green.
Charles is blue. George is green. James is
I've
yellow.
never seen a Charles before. That
Haven't
sounds
you?
like the Henry's butler.
So Charles is a bigger George. So a Charles is like a large wet vac or a wet and dry Hoover. James is a red Henry, but more industrial.
I'm curious, when they export these, do they change the names to like local settings?
Yeah,
is there like
because
a
Spain is-
Juan vacuum
yeah.
for the Spanish market?
Julio and Juan.
I'll take the Heinz Hoover, please. Francois.
there's the one, the dual suction one for the Spanish market, Jose and Hoseby.
Don't laugh. You're
Don't
just encouraging.
encourage
Sorry.
But yeah, they're great. The pneumatic ones are expensive though. I think the first pneumatic we got was about 400 quid,
Crikey.
and that was just a dry Hoover. It's not wet and dry. But yeah, they're great.
Can you explain the big thing about pneumatic, the technology?
Technology.
Yes.
Well, they're still a basic bagged vacuum. That's why they're so good. So you've literally just got the main motor head on top.
Is there anything special about the motor itself, or is it just a nicely built machine?
It's just a really well built machine.
Okay.
And I think that's why they're so good. Because when you go to these Cyclone machines, I mean, we've got a Dyson Cyclone.
I've got a Dyson Animal. It's rubbish.
Oh,
Doesn't
I like
suck
my...
up a single cat.
Is that the one with the Cyclone, about 12 Cyclones on it?
No, it's a cordless one, so it's.
Oh, okay. But ours need emptying every 2 minutes.
It's because it sucks up so much.
They don't know. When you empty them, there's virtually a Henry. When you take a full bag out of a Henry, it weighs about 5 kilograms. And it carries on. Right near the end, it will start tailing off.
Well, I love my Dyson. It's not a new one. I think it's a DC-08 or a DC-14 or something. It's
and the old ones that were still decent. Did you buy it in the late 90s?
No, I bought it in the mid-noughties.
Yeah,
or
but
late
it took
noughties.
two of you to take them upstairs. Those first ones. We had a DC-01.
Or just one person.
One of the early
who's
ball
actually-
ones.
No, the very first one.
The very first one. That was quite chonky monkey.
It was an.
But no, the ball ones were even worse because you
behemoth.
try and take that upstairs and it ends up just spinning round at the bottom.
But there's the Flex Hoover.
Yes.
You've got to play with.
Sorry, which
think-
one? The cordless one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fits on your shoulder.
So I think cordless,
Cordless-
Cordless is going to be the way. It's going to be the way forward.
I say it's going to be the way forward. People have been using those little cordless
Yeah, but now-
vacuums in
Yeah,
cars
but
for years.
even
haven't
those
they?
are getting better,
now it's
though.
actually viable technology. Batteries are at the stage they can produce enough power to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Well, I still like my cables.
We used to have the dustbuster mounted on the wall in the
I know
in the
this-
airing cupboard.
Well, I had something called a
Next to the
garage
iron.
vac. You remember the garage
Yeah.
vac that sat on the side of the wall, 40-foot nozzle that had
Garage
some
vac or Metrovac?
Metrovac was the brand.
Oh, okay.
Metrovac also do the blowers, don't they?
They do blowers, and they also do, in America at least, they have hoovers built into kitchen units. So you literally go and stick your nozzle in the cupboard and press the on button and
That's a big thing in a lot of American homes. They've just got literally a whole house vacuum system that sits up in the attic.
yeah.
And there's plug sockets look like plug sockets put to the side. There's just holes in the wall you plug into. They're fantastic.
Yeah, it's when we were in at the car wash show in Amsterdam. They had some pretty fancy installed hoovers there, didn't they?
They did. They also had did you
That
see the
wet-
conveyor? They did the conveyor belt for the cleaning of pets as well. You literally put a dog in one side, put your coins in, and then out comes a different dog. It was brilliant.
But the wet vac we saw, that was incredible.
Yes.
That was it 25 litres a second.
It had some. I'm trying to think of a polite way of putting or making an analogy for that sort of suction, but it was extreme.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
So that's the sort of hardware section is all about suction and cordless suction and James's love affair with Henry. And I'm just trying to think. Another topic that I wanted to touch on was what do we listen to when we're fluffing our special four-wheeled friends?
Depends at what stage we're talking about.
Go on, Ian.
Foreplay pre-wash.
Well, no, because if I'm not using machines or anything like that, and I've just got something blasting out into the workshop, I like to go hardcore Disney.
Hardcore Disney.
All the classics.
Okay.
Going through Mulan, The Lion King, all those sort of things.
Instantly, because I've seen a lot of this, middle-aged men listening to Disney. Is this since you've had children, or have you always...
No, God, no. I'm having to teach him.
Come on, child, you might be 1 year old, but you've got to learn the words to Fantasia.
No, not Fantasia. No one listens to Fantasia. There's
Don't
no
they?
words to Fantasia.
That was the only thing I ever watched. It gave me nightmares about pink elephants.
Yeah, Fantasia's weird.
It hasn't
Away
got
from
Rhapsody
that.
in Blue in it, though, which is one of the greatest modern classical pieces of all time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't equal Hakuna Matata.
See, I
Which is
never
a
watched
wonderful
Disney.
phrase, if you're wondering.
As a kid, I used to watch Fred Dibner, World of Steam, or whatever it was. That was pretty much my.
No,
That was. I loved that.
There's a champion of the world.
Exactly. He's basically my hero. He sits next to JC himself.
Who?
JC.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Jeremy Clarkson, actually.
No.
Okay, well, look, we disagree about this sort of thing.
No, we don't.
Well, we do, because I have an opinion.
There's no,
you have an opinion,
there's
they're
no,
different.
there's no opinion. He's a dinosaur. There's no room for him in my life.
Yeah, I'm talking about Jeremy Clarkson, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He spent 20 years slagging off the 9/11. 20 years.
Yeah, and?
But to be fair, he's 7 foot, so
He's
not actually going to fit into a 911.
No,
There's loads of
he's
room in
only
an
half.
island.
I went up to him when I met him at Top Gear a number of years ago. I went up to him and said, "Look, my mum wants to know who's taller." My mum didn't even know I was at Top Gear. I wanted to know who's taller. He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Bert, I think it's a dead heat." And my legs went to jelly. He then grew another 3 inches as I was sort of barely able. I had serious sort of celebrity wobbles at that point. And then I almost walked into James May, but he didn't notice. It was fine. I think he was drunk.
What was more impressive, meeting Jeremy Clarkson or Vicky Butler-Henderson?
Vicky's lovely. I actually worked kind of alongside briefly, so I know Vicky a bit more than I know Jeremy. I just went up
She was
there.
in the front passenger seat.
No, she was in the driving seat at all times. And that was up at Anglesey. No, and she's absolutely lovely. And she it just sort of feels very normal, you know, all these celebrities and stuff like that. We have to remember that celebrities are normal people, and that needs
Celebrities
to
have feelings too.
Yes, they do.
I saw Guy Martin at Auto Mechanica at the NEC when we were there.
Who, sorry?
Guy Martin.
Oh, yes, he's cool. I like his facial hair.
I nearly fainted.
Really?
Yeah, massive fan.
Yeah, no, he's a very cool guy.
Yeah, the amount of years I've been going to things like Classic Car Show at the NEC, never see anyone famous or interest, never.
Have you never seen Quentin?
Quentin's always there to
Sorry,
carry.
I did. No, I haven't seen Quentin there.
I have
He's usually
repeatedly.
flogging a warranty scheme, isn't he?
He does. he likes to flog a warranty, among other things. But we had Mike Brewer came on the PBD stand in the early days, and he was brilliant. Mike's good fun. My work experience.
That's why
was
then,
with Mike
'cause
Brewer.
I never came over to the PBD.
Has he finished ruining cars yet, Mike Brewer?
No, he's now doing it with Ant, isn't he?
It's okay, he's doing it in America, so it's fine.
He bought an old Mercedes SL, like 80s shape.
An R129.
I mean, it's Mercedes. You're asking the wrong person there.
Okay.
Or 107, the 80s one.
Yeah,
107
the
SL.
first SL 500 shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. He bought one of those when he was doing it with Ed, and it was metallic brown, it had leather interior, and it had colour-coded, brown-centred BBS RS split rims on it.
That's strange.
Well, they're aftermarket, somebody had fitted them. Mm-hmm. But they were like absolute unicorn wheels. And the first thing they did was take the wheels off and put standard wheels on
He
it.
went and got that from Germany, didn't he?
I think so, probably.
Yeah. No, I remember that particular program. I'm a big fan of wheeler dealers. But no, he's a very nice man. My work experience back in year 1990 something
1940.
was I was runner for the Driven program, which was on Channel 4. And it was presented by Penny Mallory and Jason Barlow and Mike Brewer. And my job was essentially get chips for Mike Brewer. And he was
Full-time job then.
Yes, he was a lovely man. They're all lovely, but no, Mike is an absolute diamond gem. So we're moving away slightly from the music for work. So we know that Ian likes Disney. What does James like coming
Well,
in his
no,
ears?
sorry. Everyone likes Disney. Let's just not get this confused.
I'll just step in here because I have worked in the same workshop as Ian. Mm-hmm. Everybody likes Disney to a point, but when you're sort of fifth hour into a detail and Be Our Guest comes on for the fourth time.
So then you'll be at Decon stage, right?
Well, yeah, that depends on the brewing schedule for the day. Yeah, no, I enjoy Disney, but I think it's I think there's a limit for normal people.
I just can't listen to... I don't find I can listen to normal music, pop music, if you like, whatever, while I'm detailing, because it either distracts me. So I end up listening to talk radio or something like that. Mm-hmm. If I'm really angry, listen to LBC or something.
Oh, God.
Oh, the anger.
Well, when I'm washing a car, I don't really do detailing, not being a detailer, but when I'm washing a car, I will listen to... The problem is I'll listen to an old school album that has memories for me, and then I'll end up in an emotional state because I'm rubbing something I like.
Are we back on Krista Berg again?
Not necessarily Krista Berg. It could be REM Monster Album. That is properly... That pulls some strings for me. REM Reveal too. Yes, there is a bit of Krista Berg. The soundtrack to Good Morning Vietnam is another strong one. That's got Born to Be Wild, for example, it starts with, and all sorts of other fun films on that. So,
I mean, I can recite the entire speech segment from Good Morning Vietnam album off the top of my head.
yeah.
It's quite a sad skill I have. That and most episodes of The Simpsons between 1990 and 1997.
It's amazing you're not single.
It's the stuff that sticks, you know.
Yeah.
All the important facts and figures.
And other stuff that sticks. James, what do you actually listen to? Because we got round, you were saying that Disney to a point, like a normal person.
Oh, no, I don't listen to Disney. I'm just saying that...
You can
Well, you
cope with
do.
it. You can tolerate
No,
it.
I have to.
You
I
have to.
Not by
listen to it.
choice.
Yeah, I have to listen to it. For me, I don't know. I don't have a specific taste in music, or any, actually. That's probably the first thing, is that I don't have any taste in music.
No, I'm going to defend you from you, because when we started working together a couple of years ago, you recommended to me some sort of mellow, easy listening, I can't remember what you called it, music. Sort of, I don't even know what the genre is.
Oh, like the chill hop type stuff that I put onto. Or was it Talvin Singh?
A bit of both, I think.
Yeah, Talvin Singh's incredible. That's like Middle Eastern sounding,
bit ethnic.
sort of
Yeah.
trancey type music. But for me, it switches day to day, and it'll switch throughout a day as well. I'll listen to sort of old rock type music like the Eagles, or country type music, Muse. That's a really good
Muse
album.
is really good for doing that.
Black Holes and Revelations is a great album to do detailing to. Or classic Ibiza music. When I say classic Ibiza music, I mean the only Ibiza music. 99 to 2001. Anything else is just worthless.
Kind of, the tong moment.
Yeah, Oakenfold.
What sort of Ibiza 1960s to 1970s was mostly plate smashing.
Plate smashing and donkey murdering.
Was it Grease back then? And 80s. Obsessed with 80s music, sadly.
Yes.
I was born in 83. So growing up as a
1983. Yes, no, it would be. Yeah, just checking. Sorry. Taxi.
So growing up as a kid, all I ever heard was the radio. My parents had the radio on Saturday afternoons after shopping. So I grew up listening to Dire Straits, Level 42, all of that sort of business. So I switched between everything, really. And then modern music, I like a lot of modern music. Even though I'm old.
Mm-hmm.
Do they still make music?
Apparently so.
Oh, okay.
Apparently so.
VH1 stopped and I lost track.
I can't deal with mumble rap. That sort of repetitive.
Isn't that on CBeebies?
It
It sounds like a CBeebies character, mumble rap.
Mumble rap. The mumble raps. Sounds like a disease. I'm not coming in this week. I've got the mumble raps.
To be fair, CBeebies sounds like a disease. He's got a touch of the CBeebies. He's walking funny.
The heebie-CBeebies. So yeah, I listen to everything really, but I think if I'm doing a late shift on my own in a detailing shop, it will generally steer towards sort of house music, or even sort of in my early 20s. Drum and bass was a thing.
Yeah, me too. I hung out with the drum and bass crowd, not because I was into it, but because I was...
you were selling them all drugs out of your Subarus.
No, I only could afford Peugeots in those days. It was duty-free fags mostly, and illegal taxi services. So there was a slightly different kettle of fish. But they did like that, mainly because they were so high on driving was not an option.
Probably drum and basses, it's quite hard to use machine polisher and throw out shapes at the same time.
There is a risk of that. And also paranoia. The problem is I can't, if I've got headphones on, I'm immediately convinced that I'm going to be attacked from behind. I don't know why, it must be some sort of primal scene to that. But I feel very nervous unless I've locked the door of whatever room I'm in, even if I'm in my lounge.
I did a really late shift at CAD one night on my own. And that was, you came to our old workshop, didn't you? It was 4,000 square foot.
So you destroy a BMW.
Because you were stood right next to me. Well, I was doing a really late shift on my own, pitch black, and I had the music on really loud, and I was working away. And
why didn't you turn the light on?
No, outdoors.
Oh.
But when we had the big metal halide, and when you've been working under those lamps for hours and hours and hours on end, your eyes start to play tricks on you. And I remember polishing. I had my back to the main shutter door, which is where the heater was. Mm-hmm. And I remember polishing with my music turned up really loud. And out the corner of my eye, I saw a tall grey person stood in front of the heater. And
next week on Most Haunted.
Yes. Yeah, when I turned around...
Was it Yvette Fielding?
No, it was my Dickies snowsuit that I'd hung on the drying thing.
What the hell is a Dickies snowsuit?
Do you know Dickies, the brand?
No.
No?
Dickies.
Oh, it's a work brand, so...
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah,
but
yeah.
Bert doesn't... Yeah,
Manual
Bert can't
labour.
relate to that.
God.
It's a peasant-related thing,
Call
Bert.
the gardener,
okay.
it's fine.
Is it like a barber, but for poor people?
The man who comes down and does your shoes.
Is it tweed? No, it's like a padded all-in-one coverall.
I've had a very similar thing before where I've had one of those tower fans sat and you're polishing away and you know it's there, but your eye just goes slightly to one side and then you catch this thing moving out the corner. Right? What's that?
Tools down, lights off, out the window.
No, I've done what I need for the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I was finished anyway. You've left all the lights and the radio on. Oh, all right.
Colleagues find you in the morning in a corner crying, wielding a Rupes LHR 15 Mark 1.
That's usually around mid-morning.
Yeah, that's when you realise that it isn't 4 o'clock yet.
Cool. Okie dokie. Well, we've had a brief view into our mindscapes and our music tastes. And so we shall be doing more interesting content for a future podcast coming out soon. In the meantime, stay safe, have fun, and we will touch base very soon.